everyone, and welcome back to another how-to video for Finance Broiler. I have just carried on from the individual farm registration. So if you are following along and you've just registered your farm, then this will be the next page that you see. Also, if you have set up a corporate account and the farm manager then logs in, they will be able to follow this setup as well. So I'm just going to show you what happens for the corporate farm manager, and as well if you're an individual farmer and you registered and then happen to close at this point, we will show you what happens with that. So I'll just close this out and let's open up another browser. So if you go back to broiler.fimax.ag, it'll take you to the welcome screen. This time we can sign in. With my password. Okay, you'll get, so I have two options here. Most likely you will just have one, the farm that you have just set up. So we can click on that and you'll be presented with this. So you haven't completed your setup, let's pick up where you left off. It's very important that we finish this setup before we try and do any of the other stuff, as the setup is where we capture all the details about your farm, the farm layout, your management and user structure, your production practices and defaults, your vaccination program, and your routine tasks. So I'm going to run through all of those in this video. It shouldn't get too long, but yeah, please do follow with me. So we start the setup. We try and break everything down into just small questions. So first question is, how many sites do you have? For our case, I'm just going to do 2, but you can put in any number. You can use these to increase them if you want to as well. Then click next. So how many houses do you have? So just to show you, if we put in 3 there, we would have 3 sites that we could put in, and we'll go back to 2. So we can put in any number here again. I'm just going to do 4 and 2, and we'll go next. So now we want to know your house dimensions. So it's quite easy. We just click on each of the houses and we fill in our dimensions. We then ask you if your house is open-sided or environmentally controlled. So I'm going to say open-sided, and just to help, you don't have to click on each of them. We've got it so that you can apply this information to all of site 1 or your whole farm. Obviously, if you had different sized houses, you would have to save this and then click on the next one and enter in different size. Just for demo's sake, I'm just going to keep them all the same for site 1, and then for site 2, we'll actually change them up a little bit, 3 meters, and we'll do environmentally controlled for the whole of site 2. Okay, we go next. So here we ask about your management staff structure. Basically, if you have any staff, any guys on site that are capturing details, anything like that, then you will want to say yes. If you don't, you can say no, and you'll move on to your production defaults. Just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to say yes, and I will say next. So at this point, you can either select a user. So if I select Tim Bacon, that's me. I'm going to be the farm manager, and I can go next. Okay, for site 1 supervisor. Now, so the system will now just loop through each of the sites that you have set up, asking who the supervisor is going to be and who the capture is going to be. So just for fun, I will set up my wife. And then, yeah, as this little message at the bottom says, after completing the setup, an SMS will get sent to each of these people that you set up to, it sends them a link to download the companion app. So now you'll see I'm now in the Site 1 capturer. I have Tim Bacon and Natalie Bacon to choose from. And the same, if I add a new person here, in the next step, I will be able to choose them. So just for demo's sake, I'm just going to choose the two of us. Okay, and then we're going to hit next. So now we ask what, so now you can see we finished with farm layout. We've moved on to production defaults. We're setting site cleaning and house rest period. Something to note here, you see this little blue box that has popped up. I'm sure you've seen it on a few of the other pages as well, but this is basically a best practice or page tip. So you can dismiss it, and I'll just tuck away there, and you can always access it again if you wish. So I'm just going to set 14 days here. So at our stocking density, because I had some open-sided and some environmentally controlled houses, the system now asks me for the adult stocking density for each house. So I'm going to say 10 for my open-sided, and we'll say 18 for my 18 birds per square meter for my environmentally controlled. If I had just selected open-sided, I wouldn't see the environmentally controlled. And the same, if I had selected environmentally controlled, I would not have seen open-sided. So we can go next. This is just a brief overview of what performance indicators we currently are looking at. And so you can just see that. You can hover over these question marks for a little bit more information on each of these items. The system now asks us what do we want to capture. So we have to capture feed consumption, body weights, mortalities, and temperature. But then we can choose whether we want to capture water consumption or carbon dioxide. I'm going to tick both. The last question, or last few sections on this major section on production defaults, is whether you separate your flock or not before you sell them. Some producers like to separate out their larger birds into one batch and maybe their smaller birds into another, just to clear out the larger birds first, give the smaller birds a chance to catch up. Again, I'm just going to say yes. If you don't, you just say no, and you can move on to the next section. But in order to show you this in detail, I'll say yes. So this is basically asking you when do you want to separate your flock. So let's say if I'm aiming for day 35, maybe on day 33, I would separate before I'm expecting collection on day 35. So that. And then we just ask how many. So you could say, as the example is, large, medium, small, or you could do batch 1, batch 2. You can pretty much type anything, and you can add as many separation groups as you would like. So we'll say next, and that should complete our production default section. Moving on to production practices, this section is where we look at how often do you top up your feed, how often do you capture mortalities, how often do you do temperature recordings, and then also look at your weigh days. When would you like to weigh the birds? So for me, I'm going to say twice a day, I would like to top up my feed. For my feeding times, I would like to specify a time. So you don't have to, you can say no and move on. And that's kind of just leaving it up to your staff or yourself to just decide when to do it. One big thing that we're trying to push with this application is garbage in equals garbage out. So poor data in will be equal to, will give us poor data out. Sorry, but so it's for good consistent data. It's important that we are capturing our feeding, our temperatures, all of our recordings at specific times during the day for our data to be the most meaningful. So for feed, I'm just going to say 8 o'clock, and then maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we answer the same thing for mortalities. We'll say twice a day. And I'm going to say, yes, I do want time. Say 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Again, you can set these however you see fit for running your farm. Temperature frequency, we will also capture twice a day. As the best practice tip says, it's important to look at the potentially hottest and potentially coldest times of the day. So we will look at probably about 4:30 and maybe 2 o'clock being the hottest time. So recording positions per house. Again, you don't want to just be recording in one place in the house. As described by the best tip here, you want to get an even distribution of temperatures across the house. So for brooding, I would probably say maybe 3 places. After brooding, I'll do the same. So that's sort of at the front, the middle, and the back. And the application does require 2 recordings for each of these 3 houses. So we would end up with 6 recordings per time, which I'll show you in another how-to video. Right, so then we move on to individual body weights. So again, this you can choose whatever days you want, whatever production days you want. I'm going to go for day 1, day 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, just to get my 7-day CVs and body weights. And then next we will look at what batch body weight days you want to capture. So I know as the birds get a bit bigger, maybe towards slaughter day, you might be weighing more often, but really you can choose any days that work for you. What we do with all this information that we've just captured is, as well as the vaccinations and the routine tasks, is that when you plan a flock, which will be another how-to video, but when you plan a flock, we'll take all this information and we'll schedule it for you for that flock, which will allow you to plan your weeks. So now we look at vaccination program. Okay, so we've included 3 recommended diseases that you can tick all of them, or you can tick one of them. We have a bit more information on these question marks as to what each of the disease is. You can also add a disease. So if we just add a disease A, you can add as many diseases as you like, but just to show you that functionality. Thereafter, we cycle through each of those diseases. We ask you what product you would like to use. Okay, so these are a sample of the different products that are available through 5.8. Otherwise, if you're not using one of these, you can also specify other and type in a name. But for now, I will use MA5 plus clone 30. We choose what day to do it on. I believe it's day 10 and 12, sorry, day 10 and 21. But please do check with your vet as to that. So for IBD, I'm going to use Bercine 2. And that, I believe, is day 12 and 18. Again, please check with your vet before setting that, or check with the bottle. Okay, so now we're looking at Newcastle's disease. Just something to point out, the system knows that MA5 clone 30 treats infectious bronchitis and Newcastle's disease, so it is encouraging you to choose that same one, but it is still well within your prerogative to change that if you would like. Again, speak to your vet to determine what is best. And just one other warning that gets shown. So if you choose a different product here that also treats something else, we prompt you to go back and change the other one as well. So we will just choose MA5 clone 30, move on. And you can see we've picked up our day 21 and 10 from when we set it previously. Now we move on to our other disease that we captured. Obviously, because we don't know what this disease is, we don't have any recommended products, but you can type in a product. And then we can choose, let's say, day 16. Okay, and that's the end of the vaccination program. We've moved on to the routine tasks. You can go through now, we've recommended 8. I'm just going to tick them all. But again, you can add your own tasks. Task 1 and task 2. Something I just want to point out, these are tasks that you do routinely, so daily, every week, etc. during production. I just want to make note of these are not tasks based on a specific production day, rather they are tasks based on a specific weekday. So now when we go to next, you'll see here. So now we're going to loop through each of the tasks. We're looking at remove wet litter. We should probably be doing this daily. We can add an instruction, so replace with fresh dry litter. But again, that instruction can be anything that suits you. We can go on next. Okay, check rodent bait stations. So maybe this is something that happens every Tuesday and Friday of every week. And again, you can put in an instruction. Check drinker functionality. That should probably be done every day. Replace fly bait. That could be something that's done maybe every second week on a Wednesday. Check brooder functionality, probably daily. I'm just going to flick through these a little bit just to give you an idea of what they are. Let's maybe do something like that. Feeder height will do daily. Turn litter should obviously be daily. So now we get to our custom tasks. We'll say task 1 can be every other week on a Thursday and Monday. And we can get every task 2 can be every week on Monday as well. Okay, so now that's setup done. We haven't finished, so we haven't saved the setup yet. We now can see a summary of everything that we've captured. And if we wanted to edit anything in here, we can click on these little edit buttons to take us back there and we can change it. So the easiest thing, let's say that shouldn't have been day 16, that's supposed to be day 20. We can jump back to our vaccinations. We can click through until we get to our product A. There we go. It shouldn't have been day 16, it should have been day 20. And then it will take us back here and you can see we've updated to day 20. Okay, now our last step is save and complete. That's now saved to the database. We get a notice to say that it's all done, and then an SMS, just a reminder that an SMS is going to be sent to the users that we set up right at the beginning with a link to capture to download the app. Right, so that is setup done, and that's where we'll end this video. Our next video will be looking at planning a flock. Thank you very much.